You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
And today on our Mindset and Motivation Monday, I'm ready to try to help you start the week off right, as well as myself. You know, I've said it before that Motivation and Mindset Mondays, really, they are the way to be able to then implement what we know we need to do. Remember, a lot of times we know what we need to do. We've read it before, we've heard it before, we've maybe heard it a dozen times, and we know it works, but now why aren't we doing it? So it's that push that we need to get us to actually take action that's so important. And as I've said before too, these Motivation and Mindset Mondays are as much for me as they are for you. They're my own therapy every single Monday, whereas if I teach it, I'm more apt to use it in my own life as well. And I think that's why it's so important to talk about these things with friends and family members, even if they're not going to do it. Maybe they just need to hear it a dozen times as well. But again, every time you talk to somebody else about it, it reinforces it in your own mind and your own brain. And today's topic is really important. It's why you need to sometimes slow down in order to get ahead eventually. And it's the reason is this. We live, most of us now, in this Western-based mentality, and of course it's spreading over the entire world, that we need to always be on the go. We need to always be moving forward. We always have to have new goals, and we always have to push ourselves to that next limit. And I've found myself really over the past couple of months really on like overdrive, definitely pushing hard. I'm going to give you some specific examples in a moment, but what I found is that I don't necessarily know if I've been moving forward. I don't know if I've been making a lot of forward progress. And the reason is I think I've set too many goals, too many things to try to achieve instead of following a lot of my own advice, whereas doing one thing at a time, doing it well, and then taking care of everything else that I have to in my life and with work and all of those things, of course. So what I'm going to try to do for myself right now over these next 2 months in November and in December is focus on and just really think about what's most important to me in different aspects of my life with family and with work. And just basically when I say work, I mean like, what am I trying to accomplish? And I'm going to give you what I'm trying to work on in a moment. And then in different areas of my life too, like meaning like enlightenment or spirituality, whatever that means for me specifically. And that's, for me, it's looking more in terms of like what matters most to me. What am I trying to focus my life on? How am I trying to give to others? Those types of things that service-wise that mean the most to me. And here's what I found is this. And I want to really relate it to a wellness practice as well. And a lot of people aren't achieving their goals. So I've said this before, but the only people who I don't see get well, and this is across the board, the only people who don't get well are those who are too angry and aggressive in life. Meaning that they're the people who act like really great with me in the wellness practice, and they're really receptive to everything that I have to say. But they're treating the people who work on my team really negatively. Like they're yelling at them, they're angry, all these different things about like, I couldn't even give you solid examples because they'll complain about almost anything. And what we have to look at is this: when we're always like type A, when we're always taking it to that next level. And again, like the only reason I know this is because I was there. I was that person. And, a little bit inside of me, I am that person, but I'm able to recognize it now. And when it starts to come up, I'm able just to kind of breathe and relax and really look towards, is this the outcome that I want to have? Do I want to get this angry? Do I want to get this enraged about a situation when, to be honest, it doesn't matter that much, right? So I need to just temper that. I need to pull back. I need to be a little bit more present. And that certainly does not come overnight. I was probably a hard case to crack, so it probably took me a lot longer than most, right? And of course it's a journey. We're always on this. We're always trying to improve. I'm not perfect by any means. But when people are always angry, always, like on the go and just can't slow down, those are the people who are going to find an issue and take issue with everything. And these are the people, myself included, who need to really just step back, slow down, and find out what it is that's most important to them, and then start to put that at the top. So right now, I want to give you a couple examples from my own life as well. Over this past year, I've been trying to finish my book on wellness. So I kind of wrote a book on nutrition that I've just seen work so well for literally 20 years. I've been working with people. It started when I was in college and helping people even at a young age, only because at 17, I got really sick. So I was forced to read thousands of books and I just was able to get a hold of a lot of information that people didn't have. And then after that, I really wrote a book on exercise and like what is the best exercise, what's going to get the best body transformation results. And of course, I have this podcast every day and I have my practice, but I wanted to write a book on wellness to show people all over the world. I can't meet with everyone in the world, right? I can do Skype video all over the world. I can see people in my practice, but there's only so many hours per week I can do that. And so I want to be able to write a book that shows people from a fundamental level, this is what I do. This is how I help people get well. And I want to get that out to the world. And I feel really passionate about that. And I've wanted to write it for 3 years. So this year I started to write it, but because of how just busy I am, I haven't made that a priority, and too many other goals are kind of going along with that. And so that book is now becoming a very large priority to me. That is what I'm slowing down. I'm pushing off a lot of other projects to make sure that I can get that published within the first quarter of 2016. And so I've made that a priority. I've said that, you know what? I've gone with publishers before, and I don't think that best route this way because they told me that it's going to be a minimum of another 12 to 18 months before they can go through their editorial process. And that's just too far in the future. That's too long from now. And I want to get this information out to other people. And I also want to get it at the lowest possible cost so that this is just kind of, my gift. This is what I'm able to do. There's not a million things that I can do in life, that's for sure. There's a couple things, and this is one of them. And I want to be able to get information out to others. So, that will be coming. You'll be hearing more about that. But for now, the podcast is my way of getting that information out in bite-sized chunks on a daily basis. So that's one way in which I have to slow down. I can't start to create, a million different protocols, a million different things. I need to stay focused on this one thing. This is what it is. It's not opening up other locations, other wellness centers. It's just too much. So I'm focused on what I have. I enjoy what I have. I'm grateful for what I have, and that's what I'm trying to pass on to you. And now what I need to do is say, okay, I have one goal. So I have one goal. Maybe my one goal for family is like every night I'm going to be home. I'm going to be having dinner alongside my 2 girls, my wife. We're going to enjoy a nice dinner together. And then, of course, I get my kids ready for bed. I enjoy that process. The weekends, I'm not working. I'm with them. I've already put in the years of working when I was starting out. Like I worked 7 days a week, literally. And I worked from 6 in the morning till 8, 10 o'clock every night. I mean, I did that. I did that all through my 20s. I worked a minimum of 12 hours a day, every single day, more like 14 to 16. I've done that. And I tell myself that, right? I tell myself now, I feel like I've earned that right to not work the weekends, to spend that completely with my families, to unplug and to be home at night with my family. And so that's a family goal, right? You know what? This is more than just work. This is my passion. This is my mission. And now it's to write this book. So that's now my one goal in that area. And so those are big things for me. And then spirituality for me is more like, am I able to take my lunchtime walks? Am I able to do my walking meditation, as I call it? Am I able to have my quiet time when I wake up before the rest of the world in the morning? Am I able to do my reading, which really centers me? Those are the things I look for. Am I able to get out into nature? That's my spirituality. That's how I connect, how I slow down, how I be present, how I'm able to get in that present moment. That's my spirituality. That's how I connect. Different for every person. Some people enjoy going to church or synagogue or whatever it might be on the weekends. And I think that's fantastic as well. For me, it's also being able to get together with my parents and my brothers and my sister too, and their families, and seeing all of my nieces and nephews. Like that's big for me as well. And it's becoming more important too, as all these, cousins start to grow and our families start to grow as well. So, I'm trying to break it down into smaller, more priorities because I can't do it all. So what are the few things that I can do that mean the most to me and to hopefully others as well? So that's what I want you to look at is we have to, in order to really get ahead in life, like if we have a dozen different goals, that's great. What if we make 10% progress in all of those goals? Well, you don't actually make progress. You don't complete a goal until you hit 100%, right? So if we make 10% progress, that's going to take us a whole lot of time to break down each individual goal, and it's going to take much longer to accomplish them. But now, if I can put 80% of that, maybe like 20% to all the other little goals, but 80% of my main goal right now, which is completing my book, spending time with family, those types of things, that's going to be so much more important. I'm going to get so much more accomplished, and I'm going to feel better by the end of the day, and so are you. You're going to feel like you have less anxiety, less stress, because you see things getting accomplished. If you always have a to-do list hanging over your head, and it just keeps growing and growing, and you never feel like you caught up or you accomplish it, well, then you're never feeling like you can slow down, that you can breathe, because we can never breathe, because we always have a million things to do. So what I say is write down all the things you need to do, and then write down what's the most important. What's your 1A and 1B? What has to get done? What do you feel like for work is there. We always have to accomplish that. But what is it for you? What's going to enrich your life? And by doing that, what's going to make you feel more accomplished? Just feel more satisfied. So start to think about that. And again, I think it's a nice way to start the week, because you can start refining what are all these things you do, and are they important? Are they really important outside of your typical, work day, your 9 to 5, whatever it might be? So start to think about that. And again, if you have any questions, always do feel free. How can I refine this message? Did I miss something? Is there something else I can help you with? And I'm happy to do that as well. Thank you everyone for tuning into another Cabral Concept. I do appreciate each and every one of your listens every day. Ever wonder what the best sauna, blue blockers, sleep trackers, wake lights, salt lamps, or other health gadgets are? Or what about the top non-toxic mattresses, sheets, soaps, bath products, toothpaste, and cookware? Or would you like to know the cleanest choices for hemp parts, meal delivery services, supplements, and much more? I personally curated, researched, and now created a resource page of all of my top picks that continues to grow each week. These are the exact products I use in my own life, with my family, in my private practice, and they're the ones I trust. To find out all of my up-to-date recommendations and all the details, simply head on over to stephencabral.com/resources.